Welcome to the Highline Herd podcast, where we dive deep into the world of horses and the people who love them. Join us for new episodes every Sunday as we explore everything from horse care, riding tips, and anything else equestrian related. To keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Highline Herd. I'm Skylar.
I'm Shelby.
Today we're going to be talking about horse shopping.
Yep, we're getting into that time of year. People are selling, people are buying.
Woohoo!
Yep, people are looking for their next partners, looking to upgrade, looking to move to the next step. So let's talk about how to do that safely. There are so many horror stories out there about bad horse buying experiences. So let's discuss how to do those things safely.
Yeah, because for me personally, like when I first got into horses, I didn't know any of this going into it. I just kind of trusted who I was going with and learned as I went, and throughout the years of owning horses, learned more and more.
And that was my experience too. It was one of those things, there was nothing to prepare for, so to speak. It was just, oh, you want to buy a horse? Well, here you go. Start looking at ads. Start listing what you want. Okay, let's go look. There was no what to watch out for in those ads.
Yeah.
What to watch out for when you go to look. What to watch out for in the messages.
Not a lot of people talk about that until something happens to them.
Right.
And it's a call out.
Exactly. And then you see, the horror stories on Facebook. Oh, avoid this stable, avoid that stable, avoid this person.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bad experience. And yes, don't get me wrong. The sellers are in the wrong. Mm-hmm. They should be called out. They should, face consequences for their actions. But it's also on the fault of the buyer for not doing their research, for not knowing what they were getting into, for not knowing what to ask.
Or sometimes not taking the extra precautions to cover themselves.
Exactly. So we'll kind of touch on a few things in this episode. We'll talk about, green flags, red flags when you're horse shopping. What to avoid. What should be your, oh yeah, no, I'm going to not buy a horse from you kind of moments.
Mm-hmm.
What to expect, say all of that goes well. The messages are great. The horse sounds great. What to expect when you go and look at the horse. What to immediately say, yeah, no, I'm not comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. What does the actual buying look like?
Yes. So in the last year, in the last year or so, I would say I've bought 3 horses. I bought Valor in the beginning of 23. I bought Walker towards the end of 23. And then I bought my baby in the middle of 24. So, that's 3 horses. And I can say, when I was looking for Valor, I met a lot of horse people selling a lot of different horses. And it was pretty clear the ones who wanted to just wipe their hands of a horse and get on with it, get it out of their barn, and the ones that genuinely wanted you to actually know what you were getting into with a horse.
Mm-hmm.
So, this episode is definitely going to be more personal experiences. What have we seen? What have we heard? What have we personally experienced during our process of buying and selling? Because you can go online and they'll tell you things like very basic. Don't buy a horse that's already sweaty. Don't buy a horse that's already tacked up.
Yeah.
Don't buy a horse that's standing there in hand waiting for you. Because chances are that seller isn't, by not letting you catch and handle the horse yourself, they're probably trying to hide something. Not always. Sometimes they're just trying to be polite and considerate of time. But more often than not.
Yeah, I know so my family has sold at least 7 horses in the past, over the many years that we've owned horses. And at first, that's something that we would do is we would, as a courtesy, bring the horse in so that everything was ready when the person got here. They could tack up and do everything else with the horse. And as we learned more and more, we stopped doing that because we wanted people to experience every aspect of the horse so that they could get a better understanding of the horse and its personality and temperament and training that it had.
Well, and it also speaks to you as a seller, right? If you're confident in what you've said about the horse is an easy catch, easy to halter, super great ground mirrors. Great, you shouldn't have any issue with the potential buyer coming in and catching the horse out of the field, bringing the horse in out of the field through the gate, away from the other horses, into the barn, away from the other horses. You know, you should, if you are 100% in what you've said about that horse, that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. And that's part of it too, the honesty aspect. It's hard to trust people, especially folks that you have never met.
It really is. I mean, like it or not, it's really a game of trust and, you know, playing a little bit of the honesty game, you know? Is that person going to be honest about what they're saying about the horse? So a couple of the red flags, you know, we kind of touched on them for a moment there. If the horse is already in, if the horse is already caught, if the horse is already sweaty, if they're reluctant to let you really handle the horse.
The seller being reluctant. Or heck, even the horse. If it's not as they described, then that's your first red flag.
And here's the thing. You have a budget. You have what you can and cannot afford. The cheap part of horse ownership is buying them. The maintenance that comes after, even just routine, is immense. So please do not ever let somebody pressure you into buying a horse that you are not 100% on. If you have any doubts, any hesitations, do not buy it. Do not allow yourself to be pressured or guilted into buying it.
Yeah.
Don't buy it just because, oh, I wanted to get it out of a bad situation. Don't put yourself in that situation because you might wind up with more than you can handle. Do not be afraid to call the proper authorities. Don't be afraid to raise awareness, but walk away. You are not responsible for that seller's dishonesty. You are not responsible for their abuse. You are not responsible for cleaning up their mess.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid to walk away. Do not be afraid to say no.
Yeah, I see that a lot of times where people are guilted into taking a horse, say from a family member who's passed or can no longer care for them, or any type of situation where there's neglect and the horse needs to have a better home. It's not on you. And that's okay.
It's totally okay to walk away. I know we said that a little bit in our last episode, you know, if you've got the support system, walk away. And with horse shopping, there is no support system. Just walk.
You can say no.
You absolutely can say no. Because you are buying this horse because you want something, right? You want, you know, either the experience of, even if you don't ride, there's so much more to horses than riding. Even if you just want a horse for the experience of horse ownership, the grooming, the bonding, the work that does come with it. Great. Don't be pressured into buying something you're not 100% sure you can handle. Because if somebody says, yeah, I got this horse, he's not really rideable, but he's super great on the ground, and you get there and he's trying to take chunks out of your arm.
You got red flags.
You don't need to buy him just because, you know, you feel like he's in a bad situation, or because, you know, the owner's like, no, he doesn't always do this. It's just with new people. That raises some questions.
And another thing too, trust your gut.
Really.
If something seems off, trust that doubt and maybe ask more questions about the horse, about its past, about the person, whatever you need to do to kind of get to the root of why you're feeling a little off.
And the seller should be willing to disclose that information. Obviously, you know, some horses are passed around so much, you cannot track 100% of their history, but the seller should be willing to disclose what they do know. And if they don't know more, like when I bought Valor, the guy I bought Valor from had him for like 4 or 6 months. And he had bought him from an auction in Texas. So the guy I got Valor from didn't have a whole lot of backstory, and he was completely open about that. He was like, look, I haven't had this horse very long. I'm not going to, you know, guarantee his personality. I'm not going to guarantee anything. I've not had him long enough to thoroughly judge, and I don't know 100% of his history. And you know what? Going into it, I took that into account when I made my decision.
Mm-hmm.
I took into account, okay, he doesn't have a full idea of his history. I looked at the price tag of Valor, and I kind of, weighed my pros and cons. I had that gut feeling that, like, he was the horse, that he would be a good fit. But I was still unsure. The price tag was pretty substantial, so I told the guy, I said, hey, I'm interested, but I really want to do a PPE. And this is how I know I got a good seller. Because the guy said, fantastic, I totally understand, I will pay for the PPE.
Mm-hmm.
And what a PPE is a pre-purchase exam or evaluation.
Yep.
It is a vet of your choice. You should, as the buyer, should always, always, always choose the vet.
Mm-hmm.
Never let the seller choose the vet.
Unless they have a vet who's seen the horse multiple times in the past, then that could be a pro, because that vet knows the horse a little bit more.
I would still lean towards use your own vet, because I have seen owners get vets to lie for them.
Oh.
So always use a vet you have vetted, that you know is unbiased.
True.
So this guy said, yep, you want PPE? I totally get it. I will pay for it. And he covered the cost of the pre-purchase exam. And you know what? The vet we chose was completely open with me. She said, hey, he's got a couple of things. They're not issues now, but I can't speak to what they will be down the road. He has issues with his stifle. He at the time I bought him, he did have a little bit of a cataract in his left eye. She brought these things to my attention, and I thought about it, and I went, for what I want to do, I can live with that. I can take those into, he's still going to be serviceably sound for what I want to do, and he's more than serviceably sound. Mm. So, you know what? The guy I bought him from paid for the PPE. Everything about that guy was a green flag.
Mm-hmm.
He completely disclosed that he did not have the full information. He wanted me to handle the horse. He wanted me to groom the horse. He wanted me to walk the horse. He wanted me to do all this stuff with the horse. And when we said, hey, can we jump him just to see how he does? The guy was like, yes, please do it. And, he didn't even have a proper jump course set up. We were making noise and dragging around sandbags and poles to set up just like a little 18-inch jump. That horse didn't bat an eye. And those are just great examples of a good seller. He was confident in what he was selling, and a good horse. Even though that guy did not have Valor for very long, he still trusted the horse's temperament enough to handle all that racket, to handle all that noise.
Yeah.
And to go over the jump without any issue. Valor wasn't sure what I was asking at the time. My guess is he had never been asked to before. But once he kind of had it figured out, oh, you want me to go over it? He was great. But, you know what? That was a good seller. That was a good buyer-seller experience. I would absolutely buy another horse from that man again. But I did go look at one horse before Valor. It was a 2-hour drive.
Ooh.
Yeah. The videos, the resume, everything on paper about this horse sounded great. We get there. The seller's not even there. She has her husband there.
Oh.
Yeah, red flag
First red flag.
Yep. We get there. The horse is not what we want. The horse is already caught and waiting in the arena. He's not what we want in terms of height or size. He was a pony. Definitely a pony.
Oh, gosh.
And slim. I like my horses a little thicker. I myself am not exactly a skinny mini. And he was slim. He was short. But you know what? We were like, we'll try him and see, just for the experience. The guy wasn't willing to get on him. He was like, I'm not really a horse person. Red flag number 2.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. So 3 red flags so far. Seller's not present. The horse is not as described physically. And the husband does not want to ride said horse. 3 red flags. Well, red flag number 4, the horse is not sound.
Oh, gosh.
The horse has a hitch in his gait, and you can tell it bothers him.
Oh.
Yeah. And the horse, as a result, red flag number 5, the horse cannot fulfill the resume that was attached to him. Because he could not do lead changes due to this hitch in his gait.
Yeah.
Red flag number 5. Here's the 6th one that
no.
made us... Yeah,
there was more.
So this is an example of, we went into it And, we got there and we kind of just knew this was not going to be what we were looking for. But we went into it as a learning experience. Well, maybe we have the wrong idea.
I mean, you did drive 2 hours.
Right.
Earlier,
so, we wanted to get what we could out of the situation. Red flag number 6. We tell the seller, we send her a message and a video and say, hey, this horse is not sound. He is not as described. Will you drop the price on him? She said, we say, we're not interested. She says, well, what if I drop the price? And she cut his price from like $8,500 to $4,000. And she said, for that, will you take him? Red flag number 6. That seller wanted to wipe her hands of that horse as quickly as she could.
Wanted him gone.
Yep.
Yikes.
And all of that led to us saying, yep, nope, we don't want this horse.
Yeah. And, ooh, that's a horror story and a half right there. But
we
is
didn't
learning.
It's learning, and that's kind of how we went into it.
Yeah.
I went with an experienced... At the time, I thought she was an experienced trainer. I went with her, and, we got there, and right off the bat, she was like, I don't think this is going to be the right fit, but we'll try him because it's a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we didn't buy him. No, it was not a great experience, but at the same time, it was a good experience because there were a lot of lessons to be learned.
Yeah. I will say, too, I've got a couple of bad experiences that may be a learning, for you guys here. There was there was a facility that we went to, and we had a couple of horses in mind. We were first getting into horses, so we were new horse owners, trying to find our first horses, and we went through a rescue, and trying to coordinate with the people to just go out and see the horses was very difficult, and that was our first red flag. We should have kind of taken it from there and just been like, maybe this isn't the place for us. And I'm talking weeks we were trying to plan just to go out and see the horse. Later, we found out it was because the horses were unsound, and they didn't want people to come out and see them when they were unsound because they were horse flippers. When we got there, eventually after scheduling, the horses were not as described. They actually, again, the seller was not present. It was their daughter. She came out and she knew about horses, but she brought us the wrong horses. So she brought ones that looked like the ones we were interested in, but they weren't the horses we were interested in. And so that took so much time to kind of figure out, okay, are the horses even here on the property that we are interested in? That was the big red flag number 2. And it turned into a situation of when we actually saw the horses we wanted to look at, they were unsound. They couldn't really even walk right, so we didn't even attempt to ride. She couldn't handle them. She couldn't walk them. Like, it was very clear that everything that they described about these horses was completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. You never know until you show up and see the horse in person.
You don't. And honestly, it's things like that I would have a very hard time buying a horse on sight unseen.
Yes.
And sometimes people do that. They will buy a horse sight unseen, but I don't know if I could do that.
Mm-mm.
There's too many stories otherwise. So far we've touched on a couple major red flags that you should definitely keep your eye out.
Yeah.
The seller should be present.
Yep.
The seller should know what horse they're handing you.
Yes.
The seller should be willing and able to handle the horse, and should be willing and want you to handle the horse as well.
Mm-hmm.
If a seller is kind of like, no, let me take care of him and groom him and get him ready for you.
You can just watch.
Yeah. If they do that, you might want to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
If, again, you get there and the horse is already caught, tacked up, or sweaty, or all of the above, walk away.
And you know what? Another big one that we haven't touched base on, it's very popular in our area, drugged horses. And that's where the pre-purchase exam comes into place. Yep.
Me as a seller, I recently sold my baby. If I had not been doing it through a adaptive riding program, I knew the manager owner of the program. She knew me. She knew the horses I liked to train. She knew the horses I liked to have around. It was because of that personal experience that when somebody bought the horse from me, based on her advice, they didn't really want to do a PPE. Had it been another situation where there were no connections, it was a total stranger, I 100% would have said, you will want to do a PPE. I would encourage you to do a PPE. Because if you want this horse to do X, Y, and Z, make sure you know what you're getting into physically. And this is something about pre-purchase exams. So, pre-purchase exams are not an end-all be-all of a horse. No horse will have clean x-rays. There's always going to be... They're horses. They get into injuries. They do things as babies. If they had a prior career, don't expect clean x-rays. It's all about, okay, what's on the x-rays? What do I need to keep an eye on going forward? Is this horse able to do the job I want? Because, there's horses with clean x-rays that are, unfoundedly lame. They have no idea why they're lame. There's horses with x-rays that make you go, ugh, but the horse is sound. The horse is like a billy goat climbing everything sound. Yeah. So, when you're doing a pre-purchase exam, you can't go into it with a pass-fail mindset. You have to take into consideration the information you're handed and the horse you're looking at. Yeah. Because I bet Willie does not have clean x-rays. I bet if we x-rayed Willie's joints, he would look like crap. Yeah. But the horse is sound. He's very sound, very agile, very capable. Same with Valor. I know Valor would not turn up clean x-rays. I know he more than likely has arthritis developing in his knees. He's a bigger horse. I know he has splints, He's a big guy. He's got a past. He's not going to have clean x-rays. But is he very, very sound and capable for what I want? Absolutely. So, again, I went into that pre-purchase exam. I heard he has a cataract. Okay, I can work with that. It may get worse. It may not. You're just going to have to see. That's something I feel like I can handle. He has a hitch in his step. Yeah, I probably would have a hitch in my step too if someone held my left leg up for an extended period. I can work with that. So don't go into a pre-purchase exam with the mindset of, well, if the horse doesn't have clean x-rays or he comes up with, even one misstep, I'm not going to buy him. They're going to have missteps. They're going to have something on their x-rays.
Yeah. Well, and I have an experience with PPE as well. So when selling my old horse, his name was Ivar. He was an awesome little pony. Like, I loved it. Well, I call him a pony. He wasn't a pony. He was large, but he was such a good little horse, and I loved him to death. But in order to get Willie back from the people I had sold him to, I had to find Ivar a home. And I was very meticulous on what type of person that he would go to. And I just found the best situation. This little girl, she wanted her first horse. Her family had been in horses for a long time, and she wanted something that she could train to show with. And he had the perfect temperament for it. He was dead broke as a 5-year-old. Like, he was great. And they came out. They loved him. They rode him. I ride this horse. I rode him in Hocking Hills with just a rope halter on the trails. He was leading guided trail rides. He was doing all that stuff there. So he was very well-rounded, very good-minded. And, of course, she fell in love with him, and his color was beautiful, too, so that helped. And they were like, you know what, can we do a PPE? And he had never had, like, a full checkup like that for sale.
Well, and here's the other thing. A pre-purchase exam can be as thorough or as quick as you want it to be.
Exactly.
Some people, back to the drugged horses comment, will pay for blood work on a PPE. So with Ivar, he had a more extensive exam, you said?
He did, yes. So they were very meticulous about it because she was going to be using him for dressage and possibly jumping. So they wanted to make sure that he was as sound and safe and, healthy as possible, which we totally respected. And they were like, you guys don't have to buy it. We want to buy it because we want to go into extreme detail. They had x-rays, they had blood work, they had everything done for him. And everything came back perfectly clean. That was kind of what sold them. And they were like, yeah, we'll take him.
Right. And I know somebody who, they were buying an OTTB. I had to be present because the seller did not want to be present. Red flag number one, had those people known, I would have shared with them that the trainer had chosen not to be present. But I was present for the pre-purchase exam as representative of the barn. And for an OTTB, an off-the-track thoroughbred, his x-rays actually looked great.
Nice.
The vet gave him a clean, he's great, he's fantastic, he moves well, he comes back clean on the x-rays, and the people were thrilled. They were overjoyed, ready to buy him. They chose not to because of what they deemed was a vice. He cribbed. If you don't know what cribbing is, it is where a horse puts their teeth on wood, typically, and they lock their front teeth on it, and they tuck their necks real tight against themselves, and they suck in air between their teeth. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's a vice. It can be destructive. I find it more annoying than anything.
Yeah.
And this horse in particular was controlled by a collar. Well, they went through this whole process, paying for this extensive PPE, and they came back with, well, you didn't tell us he cribbed. We don't want him now. Oh. Well, and this was a circumstance that the buyers weren't educated because they didn't pay full attention. It was disclosed in his ad that he cribs. He's an off-the-track thoroughbred. It's like the most common vice for them. And this, just as the seller can make mistakes, so can the buyer. Mm-hmm. So, we talk on the red flags. Well, the seller's not present. The seller doesn't want you to do X, Y, Z. They deny a pre-purchase exam. They rush the purchase. Well, what are some buyer red flags, Mm-hmm. And some buyer red flags are they don't fully pay attention to the ad. They don't fully understand the horse they're getting. So,
well, I feel like, too, something to dive into, and I talked about it briefly, right. Horse flippers.
Right. There's a reason I don't do horse rescues. There's a reason I don't support them. Mm-hmm. Because more often than not, there's actually one in Ohio that are just glorified traders.
Yeah.
They don't actually pay attention to the horse or the seller or not the seller, sorry. They don't actually pay attention to the horse or the buyer.
Mm-hmm. They just where it's going.
Exactly. They just say, "Oh, you saw this horse online and want to come pick it up. Great. Give us $1,000 and take it."
Yeah.
And that's all they're interested in.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to find that the person the person that's coming out and possibly buying your horse is a trader, because sometimes people lie very well.
They do, and that's where doing a PPE comes into play. Mm-hmm. Using a trusted vet comes into play.
Yep.
Having an experienced person with you helps. If you have somebody who knows the area, knows the horse people in the area, they can kind of direct you, they can kind of steer you away from the ones that are known for mm-hmm. flipping. We've got a couple in our area that, I'm familiar enough with the names. I'm like, I'm not ever buying horses from,
Yeah. Well, and that's something that my family went through. So we ended up selling 2 of our horses to very good friends of ours. And they loved those horses. They took care of them. They adored them. And it just got to the point in their facility where they had to cut back for costs. And unfortunately, the horses were the ones that ended up going. And so they recruited me to come back in and try to help them find the best homes that we could find. And this guy came out with this story about him needing a horse for his kids, and his kids were not present. So that should have been the first red flag. And unfortunately, I found out down the line that he was a flipper. And I have not been able to locate the horses, unfortunately, but it's part of something that could happen.
It really is. And something that you can put into place, I put it into place when I sold my baby, was a buyback contract. Mm-hmm. You can say, I have first right of refusal. I have first right to buy this horse back if you decide to sell. And that's playing on the honor system a little bit, that the person contacts you when they're thinking about selling. But it does give you some paperwork to say, no, you signed this contract. You agreed to it.
Yes. Physical contract, not verbal.
Physical. You want documentation.
Yes.
Whether it's on your phone or an actual physical piece of paper or both. You want to say it's absolutely covering both of your bases, but mostly yourself as the seller or the buyer.
Yeah.
I put a contract in place when I sold my baby for 2 reasons. 1, I have first right of refusal if they decide to sell her. 2, I cannot claim that they stole the horse. There is documentation saying I transferred ownership of the horse to them and that they are free to do with her as they please.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer have ownership. I cannot claim to have ownership. I cannot claim theft. I cannot claim anything in terms of this horse's care or anything unless I were to purchase her back.
That brings up a good question. Titles.
Mm-hmm.
If your horse is registered too.
Oh, so if the horse is registered, title transfer does have a fee.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a registered horse, decide if you want the fee to transfer it over. And understand, they're papers. They don't mean anything. If you're not planning to breed or show a horse, you don't necessarily need those papers.
Yeah, but it's just something to keep in mind if it does matter to you.
Paperwork with horses is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It really, really is, because it protects you, it protects the other party.
Yep.
And it can protect the horse. If somebody, puts in their will or puts in their trust, a horse, care for their horse, that horse is protected. Yeah. And, we talked a little bit about red flags, but let's talk a little bit into what you need to know when you're buying a horse too. So obviously we touched on the red flags of, going to shop and buy a horse, what you should avoid on, sellers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, take an experienced person with you.
Or multiple people too.
Yeah.
The more the better.
Really do your best to to see that horse in all possible situations before you buy it.
Yeah.
Make sure the horse is comfortable with touching every area before you buy it. You want to go into it knowing what you're kind of getting into.
Yeah.
So it really helps to be very hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know how to do that, take an experienced person with you. Do a pre-purchase exam if you don't know the seller and you're not familiar with the horse. Have a pre-purchase exam done by somebody you trust.
Yes.
If the horse is being hauled, make sure you're familiar with the hauler, not the seller.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
I actually just saw a horror story the other day. Somebody was talking about they used the seller's hauler, so the hauler did not share any information regarding the horse, and the horse was delivered without a halter, just free riding in the trailer. So they almost opened the door and let it just loose on the property.
Yikes.
So
yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, do your own research. Make sure you understand everybody involved in the process. Make sure that the seller hands you those documents before you leave that property.
Mm-hmm.
Do not trust them to send you that horse's documents later down the line.
Yeah.
Do not buy into the, oh yeah, I'll get you all their vet records tomorrow, or I'll get them to you Monday when the office opens. No, if you're selling the horse, you better have the documents in hand.
Don't pay for anything until you get that documentation.
Yes.
And I see a lot of the times too, folks, especially like those rescues that you see online, or the flippers, or even the scammers, they will ask for payments up front or reserves to hold the horse.
Deposits.
Ugh.
Yeah. If a buyer demands a deposit, walk away.
Yep.
If a seller demands a deposit, walk away.
It is not worth it. They are not worth it. No.
I put a deposit on all 3 of my horses that I purchased after looking at them.
Yeah.
After verifying with the seller that, nope, I'm coming back to pick up this horse at this date. I expect to have everything in hand before I leave property.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I had all the records given to me on each of those horses.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sold Sabine, I had all of her records on hand to give to the new buyer.
Yeah.
So use people you trust. Use an experienced person you trust.
Or multiple people.
Yep. Get those records. Whether it's the horse's registration papers for the AQHA, whether it's their vet records, get that information.
Proof of title exchange, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get the name of the farrier they used. Get the name of the vet they used. Call those people. Get the rundown on this horse.
Mm-hmm.
Because they may stand great for one farrier and terrible for another. I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Where one farrier was like, oh God, this horse is horrible to trim. Like, make sure you have sedation on hand. And as, the buyer or the trainer, you're like, well, let me see and judge for myself first, because different energies, different people bring out different sides.
Yeah.
For our farrier, that horse was an angel. We had zero issues with her. She stood better for the farrier than she did for any other thing we wanted her to do. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, trusted people, documentation, all of that is crucial when buying a horse. When you're buying a horse, here's the part most people focus on. How to feed the horse, how to tack the horse, how to care for the horse, how to, where are you going to keep it? That's what a lot of people focus on when buying a horse. The buying process is more important than all of that. Obviously, you should have all of that in place, but don't let everything else fall to the wayside in lieu of the excitement of, oh, I'm going to get my first horse.
Yes.
Buy tack after you have the horse in hand at home, whether that's a boarding facility or your own property.
And tack that you can fit to the horse.
Well, that's what I mean.
Like, after you get it.
Exactly.
It has to be your horse before you get the tack for it.
Yes.
Trust us. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I've made that mistake. I bought a saddle and it fit the horse I was leasing at the time. Mistake number 1. Never buy tack for a horse you lease. But the horse I bought did not fit. So I had to sell that saddle to buy another one.
Oof. Yeah.
So never ever buy for a lease horse. Unless it's a lease to own situation.
Yeah, that's a little different.
But definitely, like, curb your excitement a little bit. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't ignore your gut. Walk away.
And if the people around you, like close to you, are saying, hey, something's off, or this horse looks a little weird, or something's going on, trust their judgment too.
Exactly. Like that one horse I shared, right? We went up and it was 6 red flags, one after the other. The trainer got on first, and I saw something was off. She felt something was off. I couldn't place it at the time, but when I got on, she could see it plain as day, and she was like, "Yeah, no." So that's where taking in a more experienced person with you can help. Where if you do see or feel something's a little off, they might be able to step in and say, "Well, he's got a club foot, so he's not trimmed correctly, but trim him right, he'll be fine."
Yeah.
Or, yeah, no, this horse has the beginning signs of navicular.
Eek.
Don't buy him.
Ooh, yeah.
Experienced people you trust, will help you through the horse buying process.
Yes.
And you know what? One of our past episodes was getting your first horse, getting into horses. And in that, we talked about doing lessons before buying. And
very important.
And the benefit to that, the benefit to finding a barn to support you, is they can help you buy your first horse.
Yeah.
They can help set you up for success. They can help you through the buying process.
Or, who knows, maybe there's a horse there at that barn that will be your horse.
Exactly. So, before you go buying your first horse, or whether you're getting back into horses after 20 years, get yourself a system set up first. Get yourself a network of people you can trust and lean on to help you through the process. And here's another one that's a little more me. I don't know if everybody would subscribe to this mindset, rule, whatever you want to call it. Don't ever share your budget with the seller.
No. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, because I've heard of situations where people tell the seller, okay, I have a budget of 15. And the seller goes, oh, well, look at my 6 horses down here, all with right around 15. And reality is none of them are worth that. But the seller heard the budget that was in place and immediately ramped up the price of all of those horses.
Yep.
So that one's kind of my own personal, I don't trust people very much.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if you've got the right seller, like the guy I bought Valor from, if I had wanted to haggle with him, I probably could have. At the time, I didn't have the confidence to do so. But, it was very much, he was selling horses he knew the value of. He had a horse. He was like, look, I've got the x-rays on this thing. It's starting navicular. He's got shoes on to help manage it. He was completely upfront about that. He was like, did I send you guys the x-rays? And we were like, ugh, But he was open about it. He was very willing to share that. And the horses were priced accordingly. Valor didn't have the same training, but Valor was sound, 100%
yeah.
sound and able.
There you go. Yeah.
So the Palomino, despite having all the buttons of a broke ranch roping horse, you know, he could pivot, side pass, do all the fancy stuff. He could slide and stop, all of it. Despite having all of those buttons, he was priced accordingly because he was navicular. So that's an example of a good seller. Even though the horse had buttons, he didn't drug him to try and make him appear sound. He didn't lie about what the situation was. Because had it not been for the navicular, I might have had a Palomino instead of a paint. Because that Palomino was pretty darn cool. He had a really neat brand on his side, paired with all the buttons and the personality. Like, I would have taken both of them if I could have.
No.
But I don't want navicular.
Yeah. It's a hard condition.
Especially at that time. I was like, I don't have the budget for a navicular horse.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, going into horse buying, never share your budget, but definitely have one.
Yeah.
And remember, buying the horse is the cheap part.
Yeah, it's the care afterwards and all the years of it. Yeah.
It's the care, it's the emergencies, all of it. So, do your pre-purchase exams. Have people you trust. Keep an eye out for those red flags we mentioned, because there's more than just what we mentioned.
And keep an eye on the green flags, too.
Yeah, horse shopping does not have to be stressful. It does not have to be a nightmare. Walk away. Don't be afraid to walk away.
Yep. You have every right to say no.
Yep.
And you don't have to explain yourself either.
Horses they're going to be frustrating. Nothing in life is 100% one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
But your horses should bring you more joy than anything else.
Yeah.
They should bring you more pride than anything else. You should smile more when you look at them than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find yourself dreading what you've gotten into, yeah. Sorry to say you had a bad horse shopping experience.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit longer episode, but it's very important that we cover all of these topics.
Yep. Because
horse shopping is not something to be done lightly.
No. I mean, you're picking out your next partner
Exactly.
in most cases. So you got to choose wisely.
And it can absolutely be life or death what you choose.
Yes.
So, you know, we want everybody to enjoy their horses. The intention of these, you know, episodes isn't to sound negative.
Or discourage anybody, too.
We're trying to raise awareness.
Raise awareness for...
And that's why I tried to focus on my positive experiences with horse shopping.
Yeah. Just to raise awareness for your safety, your horse's safety, everything.
Exactly. Because, believe it or not, I looked at Valor twice. He was the very first horse I looked at and the very last horse I looked at. And the difference is he had two different people showing him. The first person who showed him was red flag after red flag after red flag. And I walked. The next person I looked at. So the way it worked was when you sell horses, you can choose a trainer to represent them, to try and make them look better. And that's what this guy did. He chose a trainer he thought would represent Valor appropriately. She did not. So he took him back, did all of the necessary chiropractic work and vet work, and had a very different horse. To the degree I didn't even recognize them as the same horse. It took going back and looking at videos. It was like, they've got the same markings, the same size, the same movement. Everything's just too similar to be a coincidence. But it's a difference in how they were showed.
Huh. Yeah. When I saw Willie, I knew he was my horse. So,
well,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I looked at Valor, when it was that trainer representing, there was a part of me that was like leaning towards yes, but there was too much that I was like,
yeah.
Because, you know, you look at the price tag too, and you're like,
That's getting up there.
But when he was showed in a different way by his actual owner, it was a very different experience. And again, he had gotten all kinds of chiropractic work. So the clicking, because I was looking for an all-arounder. I was looking for something that could jump if I wanted to. You don't want a horse that clicks.
Yeah.
That clicking wasn't present the last time I looked at him. So sometimes it's just a matter of chiropractic work. Sometimes they're not completely
aligned or something could be off. Yeah.
But this isn't meant to discourage anybody. This is just meant to raise awareness. We want horses to be horses. We want them to be fun. We want them to be rewarding. We want them to be whole and all the good and the bad that comes with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we focus a lot on the bad, but that's not our intention.
No. We just want to inform as many people as possible based upon our experiences and what we've heard.
Exactly. And, we just want to make you aware so you can go into buying your next horse or your first horse as well armed as you can be.
We hope you enjoyed this week's topic. Join us for new episodes every Sunday. And to keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next week.